Okay, it's 10 o'clock. We may have some other people join us and I will make sure they get admitted. I'm Kim Carlson. I'm the Director of Marketing for the POA. And I'm just the housekeeping person because I'm going to introduce Debbie Sorensen, who is our wonderful volunteer who puts this on and does a wonderful job at it. If you would all just mute, because if I mute all, I will mute the speaker. And I'm going to try to mute you if I can, but it's just helpful if you can do that. If you have questions, please send me questions and we'll make sure we get them answered for everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Debbie Sorensen.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bella Vista. I want to thank you all for joining us. And today we're going to have a couple special guests. The purpose of our getting together, and we've done this since 2017, is to really review all the amenities here in Bella Vista so that you have a good feel for what's available to all of us through the POA. Tom Judson, who's the COO of the POA, is going to really walk us through a couple things. He's going to walk us through an amenities map, but also he's going to explain the difference between the POA and the city and the ACC, which does get rather confusing, and we want to make sure you understand how everything works. And then we're going to have Peter Christie join us, and he is the mayor of Bella Vista, and he will go through statistics and some different issues here in Bella Vista. As Kim said, you can ask questions and then the questions will be addressed at the end of the meeting. But please feel free to ask any questions, and Tom and Peter are both here to answer. Just so you know, there's approximately 14 states represented on this list of Zoom candidates for our December meeting. And Texas and California, again, are the top states where most of the people have come from. But the furthest ones, depending on where you're standing in the state, we've got Connecticut and we have Oregon. So again, we just want to welcome everybody, and we're thrilled that you're here and that we have sunshine today and the beautiful weather for all of you. Tom, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. We normally do these meetings in person. Unfortunately, this is the second one we've done via Zoom, and hopefully we'll get back to normal at some point where we can do it in person. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through many of the amenities. Depending upon how long you've lived here, you may be aware of some of these amenities, maybe you're not. But we want to just kind of give you a quick overview. So here, I'm going to share my screen, and there it is. And hopefully everybody can see that. Kim, can you see that? If you can, just want to make sure. Okay, so this is the new resident informational. I'm going to start off with, I want to make sure everybody's aware that we developed our very own app for Bella Vista. It's a great resource. If you do a search and look for My Bella Vista, you'll be able to see the app. And when you do your search on the far left-hand side of your screen in the white, that's what it'll look like. It's free of charge. And then the home screen is in the middle location. And you can search for all of our amenities. You can get times for fitness classes. You can route to trailheads and so forth. You can find out about the restaurants. Look at the screen on the one on the far right-hand side. So it's a great resource. Also, our website has a tremendous amount of information about our amenities. This page in particular is talking about recreation, and you can see the beach that is on Lake Avalon. But look at this one. You can go in, you can see about Lake Point, you can see about BV Bar and Grill. You can view the menu, get driving directions, telephone number to make a reservation, or if you have questions, our hours of operation. So great resource for information. Here's this, the page for fitness. We have 3 different fitness centers. It gives you the email address if you needed to email them, call them, so forth. we try and make it as easy as possible. The next page, this one, on this page, you can register your boat, register, get an activity card, look at the financials for the POA, a whole host of information. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk about the amenities now. So here is an amenities map, and this is all of Bella Vista. So this is a lot of area, and you can see that we have a lot of icons for the different amenities that we have available. And I'm just going to quickly step through a bunch of the highlighted ones. We're going to start on the far west side, number 43, where you can see the arrow, and that's our gun range. And at that location, we have pistol, rifle, skeet, and trap. And if you move a little bit north, you'll see Highlands Golf Course. In addition to Highlands Golf Course, there's a beautiful picture of the golf course. Clearly wasn't taken during the wintertime. In addition to the golf course, we also have a nice pro shop, and we also have Highlands Patio and Pub. And if you've been out there recently, you'll see that we're taking the outside patio and pretty much tripling the size of it. So really making a great environment when it warms up a little bit. Moving a little bit further north, we have Branchwood. Branchwood, we have a lot of activities going on in that location. We have a beautiful gym facilities that was renovated about 2 years ago. It's the site of our only indoor pool. We also have a 1.5 mile walking path at Branchwood, and you can see these gentlemen are enjoying the disc golf course that we have there that's very popular. At Lake Point, in the center of your screen, you can see that we have one of our marquee restaurant, beautiful views of the lake, great food. We also have a marina there. We rent boats. We have we sell gas, fish and tackle, all that stuff. Look at that sunset view off of on Loch Lomond, just beautiful. Moving on to Scottsdale, like I said, I'm kind of giving you the whirlwind tour. At Scottsdale, another golf course, beautiful golf course that was renovated 3 years ago. Another beautiful summertime view of Scottsdale. In addition to that, we have a great pro shop and a nice pub, and that's another location that we're going to be expanding the deck, hopefully before the end of the year. So you'll be able to overlook the 18th green and the lake there. Just a great place to go and have a nice drink. One of our most used amenities is the beach, and that's off of Lake Avalon. We created that about 3 years ago. It's a family favorite, that's for sure. You can see off into the left-hand side the little lily pad that you can swim up to, and you can also rent kayaks and so forth, and supboards, stand-up paddle boards at this location. We're going to move on to Lake Windsor, which is a great fishing location. You can see a gentleman enjoying fishing on Lake Windsor. And then we're going to move on to Tanyard Creek. If you haven't gone on the Tanyard Creek trail, it is just a fantastic place to go on a very nice nature walk. In addition to that, we have a beautiful, very large driving range and learning center. And now I'm going to take a moment right now, since we're talking about the practice center, about the activity card. If you haven't purchased an activity card, I encourage you to do so. It costs $30 a year. With an activity card, you are going to get unlimited range balls at the driving range. You're going to get discounted rates at the golf courses. If you go and play at Brittany Golf Course, which is our executive course, you're going to get free green fees. Free with the activity card, you're going to get free admission to our gym facilities, free admission to our lakes, our beach, our pools, all our outdoors and indoor pools, free admission to the gun ranges, and most of all, what I use most of all is the 10% off your food purchases at the restaurants. So if you haven't got an activity card, I strongly encourage you to do so. All right, we're going to keep on going. Next, we're going to look at the Country Club and BV Bar and Grill. There's a beautiful shot of the Country Club. This building was designed by Ife Jones, which is a very renowned architect that studied under Frank Lloyd Wright. Beautiful pro shop. We received a few awards for the renovation of this pro shop a few years ago. And BV Bar and Grill, which is a great place to go get a beautiful meal, overlooking the golf course, nice drink, watch some sports, great place to go and hang out. All right, now down towards the bottom, you'll see Kingsdale. Beautiful golf course. We have Kingswood and Birksdale. Birksdale is a 9-hole golf course. Kingswood is an 18-hole golf course. We also have Reardon Hall, and we have fitness classes there, gym facilities, meeting rooms. There's the gym facilities. We also have a beautiful tennis center at that location with 8 courts. It's one of our most used pool facilities. All right, we're going to move all the way over to the east side, and we're going to look at Dogwood now. Dogwood and Metfield. So we have Dogwood Golf Course at this location. We also have Brittany. I referenced Brittany earlier. Brittany is a 9-hole executive golf course. Another great picture of the golf course. And you can see we have a park close by. We have a kids skills course for learning how to ride a bike. Great pool facility at that location, was recently renovated about 2 years ago. And then we're going to move on to the bottom section, which is Blowing Springs. At Blowing Springs, we have a very large RV center and campground. We also have primitive camping in that area, and we have tiny cabins that you can rent. And this is kind of the gateway to many of our trails. Bella Vista has over 100 miles of trails. And before we get to questions, I'm going to actually share a different screen now because the mayor is going to take over after me. And I wanted to share this screen. We referenced the website, and on our website, there is one page that you'll see, and it says the city, the POA, and the ACC. And this exact same information is on the city's website and on the ACC's website. And this will give you kind of an idea of how Bella Vista is like a 3-legged stool. We have the city, and the city takes care, the mayor takes care of police, fire, streets, permitting, and so forth. I'm sure I've missed something. The mayor will jump in, and he also does the library and is very active in the trails. The POA is kind of parks and rec. We take care of the lakes, the golf courses, many of the restaurants. And then the ACC is architectural and the colors that you can have on your house and so forth. And when you're doing a deck extension and so forth. So the POA, our member services each year receives about 40,000 calls, and 20,000 of those calls don't have anything to do with the POA. They have to do either with the city or the ACC. But we all three entities work together to make it easier on our property owners, because we're set up a little bit different than most communities. But we understand we're different, and we try and help our property owners navigate through the 3-legged stool, as I indicated. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So I definitely gave you a whirlwind tour, and I'm going to turn it over to the mayor and let him jump in.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bella Vista. It's a great place to live. I've lived and worked all over the world. And when I first discovered Bella Vista 10 years ago, I actually discovered it by mistake. I'd been transferred here from Phoenix. I was looking after the Walmart account for NCR. And I rented a car my first weekend here. I thought, well, I better find a place to live. Somehow I ended up in Bella Vista, and it just took my breath away. It is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And 10 years, I still haven't seen it all. It's a great place to live. If you've got family that comes to visit, they're going to be just absolutely thrilled to come and visit you. They'll probably end up visiting you more often than maybe you want, because it is such a great place. Thanks, Tom, for the introduction. I will echo Tom's comments that the POA and the city and Cooper Communities, which owns the ACC, all work very closely to one another. We all recognize that we can't exist without each other. So you may have heard that some people are telling you that there's been animosity in the past. I've been here now as mayor for 6 years. I haven't seen any of it. Tom and I have a great working relationship, as we do with Kent Berger and his team down at Cooper, and we get things done. And the focus is always on the property owners, from Tom's perspective, the taxpayers, from my perspective, and from Cooper, those who are investing in the community. So again, welcome. Tom covered off some of the responsibilities. I've got police, fire, streets, planning, building inspection, permits, code enforcement, library, district court, trails, and we share the expense of maintaining the trails with the POA, and trash. Bella Vista as a city started on January the 1st, 2007. So it's a relatively new city. It occurred because the POA decided that they wanted to branch off and not have the infrastructure, which was probably a wise move, and just focus more on the amenities. And that has proven to be a really, really good plan. And so the first mayor was here for 2 terms. One term is 4 years. I'm halfway through my second term. We have seen unbelievable growth over the last 6 years, incredible growth. The new residential housing starts at the end of 2013 were 35. This year, we are going to hit 400. The total growth over the 6 years has been 1,377 homes, or aggregate growth of 3,430%. What makes it even more astounding is there's only one subdivision that's gone in over that 6-year period, and that's the one that you can see when you're standing in the country club. And there's 48 homes down below you. Everything else is infill, which is incredible. That means a lot here, a lot there. But the builders have recognized that south of us, the real estate is very, very expensive. Up here, you can still get a nice home at a reasonable price. I will tell you that, yes, the prices have gone up over the last 10 years, but it's still very reasonable, especially for young families and those that have retired. And so we're seeing not only new families buying the new homes, but we're also seeing a lot of turnaround on the existing homes. So the challenge for Tom, myself, and Cooper has been to integrate all of these different groups together and find amenities for everyone. And it seems to be working very, very well. Everybody enjoys the trails. I don't think it really matters what age you are. I've seen small kids out there, and I've seen grandparents with their kids. We have runners out there, walkers, cyclists. We have different levels of challenge. And as Tom said, it's 100 miles of trails. With this growth comes the responsibility to make sure that we're managing the growth, and we cannot let the growth manage us. So very early in the game in 2016, I saw this growth coming at us. And so then I began to prepare. One of the first things that I did was I increased the head count on the police department from 22 to 34 commissioned officers. On the fire department, we increased it from 38 to 58 firefighters, added an additional ambulance, we have 6, and we built fire station number 4 up on 279. The goal is to make sure that we give you the proper protection that you require in order to maintain this wonderful lifestyle. And it just doesn't stop because we've hired all these people. The residents last March agreed that we could float a bond for $24 million and fund it with an additional 1% sales tax. That should sunset out around 2000, probably around 2032, which is probably half of what we had originally planned. The reason is that the funding is 2 times greater than the payments. So we don't see that additional tax money. That goes straight from the state over to our tax bond people. It's called US Bank, and they do all the payments for the bond. And as we're building all these new things with the bond, they pay the contractors as well. So we never see that money at all. So what are we doing with that $24 million? Again, it's preparing for the future. We do not have a proper police station here. It's in a former POA office building, and frankly, we've outgrown it. And so we've got the plan for the next 35 years, and we're going to put the police station up across from the Boys and Girls Club on Highway 279 or Forest Hills Boulevard. It's right beside the new street department that we put into play in 2016. We're also going to replace fire station number 3. For those of you that live on the west side, that's the fire station that sits on Glasgow. It was built in 1987. It's a 2-man station. It's insufficient to be able to service the population on the west side. Almost across the street, we're now in the process of building a new fire station number 3. It will be a 6-man facility, ambulance, pumper, and a brush truck as well. Because we have so much forest here, we have specialized trucks that can actually get into the forest if need be to suppress fires. That will be a huge, huge change in the protection that we're able to offer on the west side. Finally, the third infrastructure improvement is to build a fire training facility. We're still negotiating on the land. However, every firefighter has to, by their own code and law, go through tower training. And what that means is they simulate a house, and you've probably seen them. They're usually made of concrete, and they've got railings and stairs all over the place, and they simulate fires so that they can train. If you're not working on a fire, this is the motto, then you train, 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 and they never stop. The upshot of all this is we're hoping to improve the fire rating from the ISO. When I became mayor, it was a 6. To put that into perspective, if you're a 10, that means you haven't got any coverage at all. So we were a 6. And after we put in fire station number 4 and hired more firefighters, got a training officer involved, ISO came in and they reduced our rating from 6 to 4. My goal is to get it to a 3. I don't think we'll ever do anything better than that because we're spread out over 47 square miles and we have very, very hilly terrain, as you are well aware. So goal is number 3. That should, unless you're with State Farm and a couple of others, drive down your fire insurance on your house. I know that when we dropped from a 6 to a 4, my coverage went down on the premium by $120. And so if we can continue to drive that down further and get it to a 3, I'll be absolutely tickled pink. Why are people coming here to begin with? Sure, it's a little cheaper, but look at the lifestyle. Tom was talking about all the amenities. We have a very healthy lifestyle here. When you get out into your backyard or you're standing on your deck at the back and you look out, 10 to 1, you're looking into a ravine, or in the local vernacular, the holler, and you're not looking into your neighbor's backyard at all. Unlike a lot of communities in this area who have just the typical subdivisions, and that's what you see when you step outside. Here, you're probably going to see a deer. And so it's a very, very different lifestyle. It's a very healthy lifestyle. And it's not as congested. What is the population? Well, we'll find out with the census, but best guess is between 31 and 32,000 people. Doesn't look like it, does it? Because we are spread out and we live in a forest. And it just somehow hides or camouflages the fact that we have so many people here. One of the things that you may have noticed when you purchased here was it might have been difficult to purchase a home, particularly if it wasn't brand new and you're buying an existing home. The realtors prefer to have a base of about 400 homes at any one time to be able to sell. They're struggling to keep it at 100. If you're selling a home and it's 250,000 or less, it's usually gone in days. If it's a townhome, typically selling about 100, 110,000, they're gone in hours. So this is a very, very desired location. And we're going to keep it that way, but we're going to manage the growth. Let me talk a minute about our financials, which are open to you at any time that you wish to see them. They're on our webpage. We're in the midst right now of finalizing our 2021 budget. The budget for 2020 was 18.5 million, and it's going up about 5% to 19.3. So it's very modest, and yet we are able to ensure that our employees are properly taken care of from a payroll perspective, and certainly from a benefits perspective. We're making sure that everything that they use in their job will help them to be successful, and we turn things around so they're not using old equipment. For example, we've put into place a plan where we change out every single computer that we've got here, and we have quite a few, every 5 years. And we don't buy computers anymore, we lease them. Because at the end of 5 years, what am I going to do with a computer that's probably no better than a boat anchor? So we're very, very frugal, and we're very fiscally responsible, but at the same time, we have to make sure that our employees have all the latest and greatest so that they can help you. We just recently had a windfall of $1 million thanks to the CARES Act. And so we have been allocating part of that million to special COVID projects. So if you have been to the library, and it hasn't been open much over the past, gracious me, 9 months, you're going to see a dramatic change. Not only is there a lovely addition on the back, but we're going to change the whole look and furniture in the checkout area because we cannot keep the social distancing of 6 feet. So the CARES Act money paid for that. The bulk of the money is going to go into our reserves, and the CARES Act folks are telling us that we can spend it on non-COVID stuff in the future. So in 2018, I brought to council an ordinance that was our very first fiscal guidelines. We had none up to that date. In fact, many cities don't have them. But I felt it was important that we addressed, this is how you budget, this is how you report your actuals, and this is what you must do to maintain your reserve. So we have agreed that we will keep 25% of unrestricted revenue always on reserve. What does that mean? Unrestricted means it's not set aside for any kind of special projects. And it currently works out to about $5 million. We currently have over $8 million in reserve, and we do a capital forecast going out for 5 years. And I will tell you that for the next 5 years, we never dip below that 25% bogey, and we're still able to maintain all the new equipment, turn over police cars as need be, everything that is required to make sure that you're going to be safe and well looked after, and so will our employees. Some people have asked me, what was the impact of COVID on our operations? We're currently on a lockdown. We have been since March. We opened it up a little bit in July, and then it started to spike again. And what I mean by a lockdown is that the lobbies are all closed for all the buildings. However, the non-essential people who are working from home are still working. So if you call a city number or even the main number, it'll be transferred to an employee who's got a cell phone, and life goes on. They still keep answering your questions, and they can transfer your calls, and they can take messages, and we can get people to call you back. All our permitting is now done online. And yet the police are still working. That doesn't stop. The fire are still working. So is the street department, code enforcement, and the inspectors. Even the library has a partial service. You can send in an email, or you can call them and you can reserve a book, and they'll put it outside for you on a table, and it's alphabetic by your last name, and you can still pick up your books, and when you're finished, you can drop them off. Some of the other projects that you're going to be seeing over the next year, some of them will be actually longer than a year. Not sure if you're familiar with the Mercy Way Bridge. That is the bridge that goes over Sugar Creek beside Allen's grocery store and CVS. It is going to be widened to a 4-lane. And the reason for that is there's a lot of traffic now that builds up in the morning, not only for folks dropping off their kids at Cooper Elementary, but the growth again has been tremendous, and we're generating more car traffic. Along with that, there will also be a bike lane for an extension of the Razorback Greenway. If you're not familiar with it, that's a wonderful paved walking and bike path that starts in Fayetteville and it goes all the way up to Bella Vista. The plan is to eventually take it all the way up to Missouri, up to Joplin. And believe it or not, there's even a long range plan in the works to have 6 bicycle highways crisscrossing the entire United States, which floors me a bit, but what an exciting time to be here. So we've got the Mercy Way widening. That's $7 million. Most of it is covered by grants. On Highway 340 or Lancashire, you're going to see some bridge work there as well by the state. That is a state highway. Just by City Hall, there is a bridge that goes over Sugar Creek. And then as you go around that very, very tight corner, there's a bridge that goes over Tanyard Creek. Both of those are going to be worked on by the state and replaced. And again, they will be adding bicycle trails onto those bridges as well. And finally, as Tom mentioned, we've got the wonderful hard surface trail that is being built right now from Blowing Springs up to Metfield. It's known as the Metfield Connector. It will give kids an opportunity to actually ride their bicycles to school. Families will be able to use it and go all the way to Fayetteville once they've stopped the bypass work and they reconnect the underground trails again. It's just a wonderful addition, and you'll be able to go down into Blowing Springs, which in itself is a real treat.
Hey, Mayor?
Yeah.
I've got some great questions that lead right into a couple of these things. Do you mind if I ask those real quick?
No, in fact, I think I've just about covered everything.
Oh, that's perfect. We've had some comments and questions about the mountain biking. So I'm going to ask those since you were just talking about the trails. And Tom, I think one of these, because it's about maintaining the trails, you may want to cover. As a mountain biker, I wonder how the trails are maintained and what plans for future trail systems is one question. And the second part is, I also heard a rumor, we have a lot of those in Bella Vista, that we have plans for a gravity assist modified ski lift bike park. So Tom, take it away.
Okay, so maintenance. So the mayor referenced this earlier, that the POA and the city actually share in the maintenance. We share financially. The POA actually has a trail boss, if we call him, because he's one heck of a big guy, so everybody's going to call him boss. But Trey takes care of our trails and works on them and maintains them on a consistent basis. As for trail expansion, right now, keep in mind that the Trailblazers, the company working on the trails and the trail expansion, they're not yet done with Little Sugar. They still have more things they're doing. They're actually going back in a few areas, like one of my favorite trail areas is Tweety Bird. It's in the central portion of our community. It's a very easy trail. It's under 2 miles, relatively flat. They're going to actually go in and make that handicap accessible or handicap compliant. So they're going to really make it even easier. It was easy beforehand. They're going to make it even better. Download that app that I was telling you about at the very beginning of the session. You can look up Tweety Bird and you can click on it and it will route you there. As for additional trails, we may do additional trails down the road, but that's really hard to say at this point. We have to finish Little Sugar. We'll be at 100 miles. I think at that point we need to assess if 100 miles is sufficient. Moving on to the gravity assist, I've heard that rumor too. I've heard that it might be an area called what we call as ARCMO, which is a stretch of land that the POA previously owned that borders Arkansas and Missouri border. I've heard that they might do that. The Trailblazers might put that in, but I haven't heard anything new. So it sounds like a fun thing, and it would be right next to Bella Vista, but it actually wouldn't be inside Bella Vista. So we'll see. Hopefully they do that, but I'm not certain yet.
Yeah, we actually have a master trail plan that was passed by both the POA and City Council, back around 2015. And it was drawn up by a company called Alta, which had been hired by the Walton Family Foundation to put this together. And it shows 150 miles. We've done 100 of them. The last 50 is out on the west end. But as Tom mentioned, it's probably time to slow down because we put in the first 40, which is called the back 40 on the east side in 2016. So in 5 years, we've put in 100 miles of trails. Plus we've brought the Razorback Greenway up here and we're building the connector up to Metfield. I think it's probably a good idea that we just take a breather for a while and see where we are. As far as the gravity trails, there is a gravity trail that's being built over off Huntley, Tom. It's over by the water department. It's being built by a company called Gravity out of British Columbia up in Canada. It's on private land at this point, but as far as I know, because I've walked up there a few times, there are people that are using it already. I don't know what the future holds for it. It's being built by Tom and Stuart Walton. And I might just put a good plug in for the Walton Family Foundation. They're building all the trails for us and helping us. They've bought land around here. What the plans are going to be, I don't know yet, but they've invested over $25 million in Bella Vista, just getting ready for the future and also putting in the trails because they recognized, as I mentioned earlier, that we need to have that blend and find good amenities that are going to fit all. And the foundation has just been a pleasure to work with, and they believe in Bella Vista, which is great. Kim?
Okay, thank you. We're going to get back to a couple of POA questions. One is, why does the POA work close with the water system in Bella Vista? And the second one is, would you please explain about the membership cards, Tom?
All right, let's take, so I'm going to go with the activity cards. So as a property owner in Bella Vista, you're going to automatically get a membership card. We call it the paper card. It's actually a little bit plasticky, but it's flexible. With that, you're going to get discounted rates automatically. But I encourage you to consider getting an activity card. We have 14,000 property owners that have activity cards, and as I indicated earlier, you get free green fees at Brittany Golf Course. Oh, there, the mayor's got one, and that's one heck of a picture of the mayor too.
Under years.
Free driving range balls, access to the lakes free, the pools, the gym, the gun range, 10% off your food. So if you contact member services, or you can actually apply for an activity card online through our website. We try and make it as simple as possible. Everything that you can do, member services, previously we had 2 locations that you would go in and that's where you would get your card. Because of COVID, we've switched everything to either you do it online or you do it via phone. But we've automated the things to make it as simple as possible. But call member services if you're interested in getting an activity card. Okay, water. So keep in mind, when Bella Vista was first created as a community, a planned community back in '65, at that point, the POA was everything. They even had volunteer fire department and and they were in charge of the police department. And things have evolved over time. And as the mayor indicated, in '07, the city was created. But the POA has always maintained control of the water department. I feel that our staff does an outstanding job providing great service to our property owners. So in addition to taking care of all the other amenities, one of the amenities that we provide is our water service. In fact, in this coming budget, we're actually going to add an additional water crew because we're getting so many hookups on new homes and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that we continue to maintain a high level of customer service. Hey, Kim, I'm going to take the message, the question that was sent in by Richard and Rhonda. Richard and Rhonda, they posted on the chat. They were asking about the lake access. So we have 7 lakes. We don't have any boardwalks that go around any of the lakes. We just don't have that. It's all homes. But we have parks that are next to, we have parks pretty much connecting to every single lake. We have boat ramps. We have areas that you can fish. So you can definitely get on the lake, get to the lake and have fun with it. If you go to Loch Lomond, during season, we have a marina there and you can rent a boat. The rental fees are very inexpensive. And you can rent a boat for cheap and go out and take a look at Loch Lomond and have a great time. We also rent kayaks at Loch Lomond. We rent kayaks at Lake Avalon. So there's a lot of ways to get access to the lakes. One last thing is I'm going to continue to talk about Loch Lomond, but at Loch Lomond we have a nice fishing dock that was put in through donations that were put together by the Fly Tires, which is a very active club. And we also have a swim area and year-round dock on Lake Avalon that people can enjoy. So while we don't have a boardwalk that goes around the lakes, we do have a lot of different access points that you can enjoy the lakes. Hopefully I answered your questions, Richard and Rhonda.
Okay.
And I'm getting a head nod, so that's good. Kim, any other questions?
I'm going to go back to earlier questions, and one of them I could probably answer because Tori, I came from the state of Kansas way back when, so she asked about tornadoes and where do you go to get away from tornadoes? And the second part, Mayor, is talking about, are there any plans to get more stable internet in the area?
Okay, are you going to handle the tornadoes, or do you want me to do that one too?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I'm from Kansas, so I grew up with tornadoes, and we've been here almost 6 years, and we've never had a problem. So it's like the weather decides, it comes here and it goes, oop, I'm going to just flip right on over all this huge valley. So in my experience, it is not a problem, but other people who have been here longer may know other things.
Yeah, I've been here 10 years and we've never had a problem. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be vigilant and have a safe place to go, because there are warnings that come out from time to time. So if you're in a typical home in Bella Vista, there's probably a crawl space underneath. It doesn't have any windows. You want to be in the middle of the room. You want to have supplies down there. My wife and I will usually go down to ours if there's a true warning coming out. But again, we haven't had any problem. The only thing that we've encountered so far is in August of last year, we had a terrific storm in the middle of the night with 70-mile-an-hour straight line winds that took down 700 trees. A lot of the electricity was knocked out, but between Tom, myself, and Carroll Electric, we got it all turned around in about 5 days. Some people actually have contractors come in and they build their own shelters underground. And I would ask that if you're going to do that, please register it with the fire department so that if indeed something does happen, we know where to check and make sure that you're okay. There was a question about the space up by Harps as well, filling in some of the business space up there. I think I saw that on the chat. That whole area is actually owned by Cooper. The folks over at Harps closed Harps in the spring of 2019, and they spent $5 million and they put the new Harps as it is today, which is just fantastic. Cooper did their part as well. They redesigned and repaved the entire parking area. There was an old bank that was over there at one time, and they demolished it. If you've ever watched the demolition on a bank, it's very interesting. The last thing that gets torn out is the vault, because it's the first thing that's put in. And similarly, across from City Hall, you'll notice that there's a great wide area as well. That's Cooper as well. And they just finished raising all the buildings that are in there. And we're working with them to try and get some new business in there. I can tell you that in the Harps area, you may have noticed that there's a new cafe going in. It's called the American Cafe. It'll be serving breakfast, which is something that we really need here, as well as lunch. Kim, there was another question as well.
Yes, I couldn't hear if you answered the question about stable internet.
Oh, yes, okay. So there are some parts in the city where internet is a disaster. And unfortunately, the realtors are not telling everybody that, you know, when you're buying, and I've been chastising them for years. We've been working with Cox and we've been working with AT&T to try and expand it in those areas. Some of them are up around, Grosvenor, Bethnal. You have some down in the southwest area. Here's the dilemma for Cox. Their revenues are going down because people are moving away from cable TV and going to online streaming. So they haven't been able to put the money into the construction business. And so they'll gladly put it in, but you got to pay for it yourself. And I don't agree with that at all. AT&T is probably the hardest to work with. I came out of telecommunications. I'm originally from Canada. I worked for Bell Canada for 17 years. And I can tell you that even when I was up there, it was very difficult doing cross-border deals with AT&T. So Cox seems to be a little more flexible. The problem is I keep showing them every month the increase in the demand for new residential housing permits, so they know the actual addresses where those permits are being issued. And they tell me that they are working up a long-term plan, but I've been hearing that now for 4 years. We don't have much leverage over them. It's a business, and I can't really tell them what to do, but I can strongly urge them to do the right thing and to also show them where they need to be putting it in for existing homes and where it needs to be for future homes that are being built. But it is a problem in some areas, yes.
Okay, and along the same lines, a question is about the trails, and is there cell phone service on all the trails? Just wondering for safety factors in case of emergency. Tom?
I'd say this is there's cell service throughout the entire community, but there are, we're going to use the local vernacular, as Peter said, there are local haulers that can get rather deep. And if it's summertime and there's a lot of leaves on the trees, there's some areas that you might lose service for a little bit. I can always tell when I'm talking to my wife and she's going down into one of the lower haulers on her drive home. because we might lose service. So I think there's some areas that you might not get coverage, but the vast majority, you can get good coverage.
Okay, and a lot question. We may be purchasing the lot next to our new home build. Can these lots be combined into one parcel?
Yes, they can, but you have to go to Cooper because surrounding each lot is an easement that they have in place, and you have to get the easement removed on both lots that are at the point of juncture so that you can combine it into one lot. The ACC can probably help you with that. And once they have agreed to do it, then it goes through the Planning Commission, which is not a big deal. And then you can combine it into one lot.
But just so you're aware, if you do combine them, you still will have two assessments. You'll have an improved assessments for an improved lot, which is the one with your home on it, and an unimproved one. So you can't combine lots to try and avoid paying assessments on the separate lot. Just want to make, so you can, we have a lot of people that own homes that, you know, they've combined lots and the home is now straddling the previous line, but they still have two assessments, one improved, one unimproved.
Okay. I know Tom went through the amenities pretty quickly. One of the things that I noticed in one of the photos is at Lake Avalon Beach. We cut out the, what I call the pergola. There's a place where it's covered and you can have a group of 10 or less usually. You can rent it for all day at a very reasonable price, and it's a great place to hang out at the lake. And does anybody have any other questions regarding amenities?
Bridge north of. I'm reading one of the questions right now. Oh, okay. So Georgina was asking about the old bridge by Lake Bella Vista. So they complete the trail loop. Mayor, you might know more about this, but I know that the city of Bentonville finally got through the lawsuit, which was delaying all of the work that was going to be done at Lake Bella Vista. So first of all, I think the most important thing is, while it's called Lake Bella Vista, it's in the city of Bentonville. So we actually have nothing to do, the mayor and I have actually nothing to do with Lake Bella Vista. But maybe you can speak to that, Mayor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as Tom stated, it is called Lake Bella Vista, and there's a long story behind the whole thing. I won't bore you with it, but it is certainly within the city limits of our sister city in Bentonville. As a result, their Parks and Rec actually looks after the trails there, which includes the dam. There's been a great deal of discussion over the years. Are they going to tear the dam out? Are they going to replace the dam? That has gone back and forth. It's gone through the court system. The current plan, now that it looks as though it's finished as far as the court thing is going, is that they're going to build a brand new walkway or bridge over the dam to the north of the existing structure. And they hope to start that next year. It'll probably take most of the year to complete it, but it'll be brand new, it'll be great. And then they'll be able to open up that walkway again so that you can complete the circuit walking around the lake.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and the mayor talked about this, is the Metfield Connector. The Metfield Connector is currently under construction. It should be done within the next few months. It's a 10-foot wide concrete path that will start at Metfield Park and connect into the Razorback Greenway. And the Razorback Greenway goes all the way from Blowing Springs all the way down to Fayetteville. So you can get on at Metfield Park and go 40+ miles south to Fayetteville. And it's a great resource for our property owners. I've ridden the entire length of the Razorback Greenway, and it is a fantastic resource for the region as a whole.
The only caveat to that at the moment is where they're building the Bella Vista bypass and they're putting in the
Correct.
bridge. All the underground tunneling that was part of the Razorback Greenway is closed because they're ripping it all out, but they are going to replace it as part of their plans to put in that very long bridge. That's what you see them building now. But Tom's right, then you will literally be able to step out of your home in Metfield and go all the way down to Fayetteville. Somebody's asking, is there a timeline to finish the Bella Vista bypass? Yes, I stay pretty close to RDOT about that. They're still saying it'll be October of 2021 for both our side and the Missouri side. It'll be finished.
Yay. Can't wait.
Now, I will tell you that while that'll get rid of all the semi-traffic that's going through the middle of the city and some of the commuter traffic, we still generate a lot of car traffic on our own. The traffic counts on Highway 71 taken by RDOT are 20,000 up at the Missouri border. So that's 20,000 car trips going each way every day. Down at the bottom where it connects with the I-49, it's 50,000. So we're generating 30,000 on our own, plus anybody who may be coming over from county on McNelly Road, but for the most part, it's us. So some people have also said, well, when all that traffic leaves, isn't that going to hurt you as far as sales tax goes? The answer is no, because the semis don't stop and the commuters don't stop. You know, the fellow from Missouri that's working down at Tyson's, he's already got his cup of coffee and he doesn't want to stop at all. He just wants to get to work. So we're not forecasting any kind of let up on the sales tax or revenue for our local merchants.
Yeah, and for those of us who have lived in bigger cities, I lived in Dallas, I came from Kansas City, but I'm a farm girl, so I've seen all kinds of traffic. It's amazing how we complain about the traffic here after living here 5 years. The traffic is nothing compared to big cities. So having the semis leave will be great for them and also for us, but it's going to be pretty exciting. Here's a new question. Does the city help clear trees, brush from the sides of roads and neighborhoods? I've had trouble seeing to make turns in some areas.
Yes, we will do it on the easement. The easements, unfortunately, because the way that Bella Vista was originally platted, varies anywhere from 6 feet to 10 feet. But yes, if you're having trouble seeing to make a turn, the best thing to do is to call the street department, and their number is 876-1204, and speak to Karen. She's the administrative assistant, and mention that you brought this up, and we are always very conscious of line of sight to make sure that you can turn. We also have an agreement with the state so that if there's a line of sight problem, if you're trying to turn onto 279 or 340 or Forest Hills Boulevard or Lancashire, we will go and clear it, and then we send them the bill. So yes, line of sight is very important. So please give a call.
Okay, one thing I wanted to let everybody know is Debbie Sorensen had to drop off earlier due to a family commitment. So I just wanted you to know that we will be sending out a survey to all of you on Monday and just asking questions about the meet and greet. So if you see an email come through from the POA or from Judy Griffin, she's going to handle it. We'd appreciate any feedback at all. I know some people have said they had to drop off close to 11, so I just wanted to make sure I got that message out there. But if anybody has any other questions, I'm sure the mayor and Tom would be happy to help answer them, or I will too.
I see that there's a question, Kim. What things need approval for changes to property and home? That's actually a very good question. And it's probably longer than a discussion we have here because it could involve planning commission if it's a really big exterior structure that you're going to get into. If you're just going to do, you know, the replacement of windows and whatnot, that doesn't need permits. From a city perspective, if you're going to paint your house, the city really has no skin in that game either, but the ACC does. And so you need to get a permit, and I know I've gone through it. You have to bring a swatch of the actual color and pay $75, and they give you a permit, and then you can actually have the painters finish, and then they come back and inspect. So that's why the conversation is a little, it's back to the three-legged stool thing again. Tom's exempt on this one, but it's between ourselves and the ACC. There is a checklist available in both the ACC and CDS. It might even be on our webpage, I can't remember, that shows you all the things that need a permit, all the things that don't need a permit, and where to go to get the permits. There is, it troubles me, but there is some double permitting as well. For example, on a fence, we have fence standards, and then the ACC has fence standards as well. And so you end up getting that double whammy. We've been trying for a long time to remove it because I think it should be just the city and not the ACC, but Cooper just thinks otherwise.
Mayor, I put up on the screen on the POA's website, it has do I need a permit, and it indicates the city and the ACC. So you can find this under member resources, and it's under the city, the POA, and the ACC. So you can actually do your own research and determine what needs to be done.
Great, thanks, Tom.
Okay, another question. Are there any tax homestead exemptions for 65 plus residents for non-primary homeowners?
I don't know about non-primary. For primary, yes, there is. If you have to go down to the county and actually file for it. Non, I don't know. You're better off to call the Benton County Assessor's Office and ask them.
Okay, I don't have any other questions unless somebody starts waving at me crazily. I am going to let you know that on chat, I put a generic email address for you. If you have questions later that you think of, that info at BVB comes straight to me and we will get you answers very, very quickly. And if it's not about the POA, that's okay. We're used to sending you to all kinds of other places to get answers. So anybody else have anything? Okay. Wonderful. I think we're good. I appreciate everybody being here. And, you know, I can say I've been in your place because my husband and I moved here from Kansas City almost 6 years ago. And so we've been through the same questions that you're asking. So there are no dumb questions. Feel free to send anything to me and we will get you an answer. And we're just thrilled that you're here with us in Bella Vista. Thanks, everyone.